Hello YouTube, my name is Nero. Today we have some more Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, and we are here to ask and answer one relatively simple question, although it's not very easy to answer. Is the BOS14 overpowered? I know as soon as this weapon was released, I saw a lot of YouTube videos popping up saying, this gun's OP, this gun's broken. But that's just kind of like a bandwagon thing, right? It's almost clickbait in a way. Every time a new DLC weapon comes out, people try to push that narrative of, this new gun's overpowered, supply drops are evil. Which I agree, supply drops are evil, but that doesn't necessarily mean the weapons are overpowered. So as a result, I did not make those videos. I was not like, oh my gosh, overpowered. I was actually doing testing videos for the Fang 45 as well as the BOS14. The BOS video took a little bit longer to actually do because for those that don't know, the BOS14 has a bit of a quirk. The first 5 shots out of a fully reloaded magazine deal increased damage. And so as a result, I had to test it with and without stopping power, with increased damage versus without increased damage, with a silencer, without a silencer. There was a lot of testing to be done. And at the end of it, I found that it was a pretty powerful assault rifle, but everything was being done by hand. I didn't have the actual stats, the actual facts and figures. Well, Marvel 4 over on his Dan Curson page has finally been able to take all of the weapon stats from the game files themselves, and we now know exactly how powerful the BOS14 actually is. If you guys like to check out those stats, check out the link down there in the description. It'll show you all these stats for every single weapon in Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, including the ones that just came out as part of the recent supply drop update. So the focus of this video is going to be going over some of these stats and going over my own thoughts and feelings after using the weapon quite a bit. Like I said, those clickbaity videos, people are like, oh my gosh, this gun's overpowered. I've played 2 games with it, or oh, I died to it, must be OP. These are my stats from my combat record. I have 850 kills roughly with it in the multiplayer. I have just under 5 hours played with it, and that's not counting, of course, all the testing I did in private matches. So I've played with the gun a lot, and I think I have a good grasp of how powerful it actually is, and we're going to be covering that here in this video. I would like to first go over some of these stats. I'm going to try and do it quickly, because I know stats aren't everybody's cup of tea. Everyone kind of just wants to hear whether or not the gun's actually good, whether it's bad, what's going on with it. These stats are pretty telling, though. So the damage on the BOS14 with bonus damage is 40-30. So if you're utilizing the bonus damage from your first 5 shots, this gun is as powerful as the AK-47, the G3, the MP-44, the XMLAR, and the M16. Afterwards, when you are no longer getting your bonus damage, the weapon's damage drops down to 35-25, which means it's kind of in its own category. It's not as powerful anymore as the M16, the AK-47, the G3, and so on, but it is more powerful than the M4 Carbine and the G36C. No matter what, if you have stopping power on the BOS14, it is a maximum 3-shot kill at any range with a silencer. Now, that, of course, is not counting in juggernauts and stuff like that, but for the most part, in most situations, it's going to be a maximum 3-shot kill, even if you have a silencer equipped. For some reason, silencer barely affects this weapon, if at all. If you're not using stopping power, again, not going up against juggernauts or anything like that, it's going to be a maximum 4-shot kill at any range in the game. This sounds very powerful, and I tell people that at most it's going to be a 3-shot kill. People are like, wow, this gun must be overpowered. But in actuality, that's pretty standard across the board when it comes to assault rifles. No assault rifle in the game is a 5-shot kill with stopping power equipped. There is not a single assault rifle in this game under normal circumstances that will require you to have 5 shots on target with stopping power to take out an enemy. It just isn't going to happen. And only the G36C and M4 Carbine become 5-shot kills at super long ranges if you're not using stopping power. So with stopping power equipped, not a single assault rifle is going to be a 5-shot kill. If you're not using stopping power, only the G36C and M4 Carbine are a 5-shot kill. That's only at a super far range. The key to the BOS14's power is, in fact, its fire rate. Now, according to Marvel 4's stats here, which is where I'm pulling most of this information, the fire rate on the weapon is going to be 750 rounds per minute, which is the same as the G36C. The thing about Call of Duty and playing it online is that due to frame rounding, the G36C and the M4 Carbine, which if you guys don't know, M4 Carbine has the fastest fire rate of any assault rifle in the game. Due to frame rounding, the G36C and M4 are pretty much the same in terms of fire rate if you're playing online. And so even though statistically the M4 Carbine has the fastest fire rate, the BOS14 or BOS14 is kind of tied with it along with the G36C. So basically, it sort of has the fastest fire rate of any assault rifle in the game, but it doesn't have the lower damage that the fast firing assault rifles typically have. Again, the G36C and the M4 Carbine, they have the lowest damage of all the assault rifles in the game because they have the fastest fire rates. Well, the BOS14 isn't exactly that. It has good damage. It has on par damage with the AK-47 and stuff like that if you're utilizing bonus damage. Then after bonus damage is gone, it still does more damage than the G360 or the M4, so it's pretty freaking powerful. It also has a number of other quirks to it as well. For starters, it has a 35-round magazine by default, which gives it the largest magazine of any assault rifle in the game, and subsequently, the most starting and maximum ammunition of any assault rifle in the game. It also has a slightly tighter hipfire spread than all of the other assault rifles. Its add time is slightly faster than all of the other assault rifles, so basically this means its reload speed is generally considered to be average to maybe slightly above average, I guess. It's a normal reload speed, but because of its add time, if you are good at reload canceling, which I try to do often, I'm sure you guys are seeing some examples of that here in this video, if you can reload cancel properly, it's the fastest reloading assault rifle in the entire game. It does have very high idle sway, and I'm talking very high idle sway. In terms of rankings, it's tied for second with the XMLAR in the assault rifle category behind only the M4 Carbine, so it does have a lot of sway, and that does actually affect the weapon quite a bit at those medium to long ranges especially. But at the same time, it does have the second to lowest view kick of all the assault rifles, and it has the fastest center speed of any assault rifle in the game. So center speed, for those that don't know, is basically how fast your weapon goes from recoiling back down to its normal position. So it doesn't have a lot of recoil to begin with, and then once you're like done firing, it's going to go back down to its normal non-recoiled position much faster than any other assault rifle in the game. So basically, it has like a built-in foregrip by default if you compare it to some of the other assault rifles. Now, I know that's like a lot of information to take in all at once, so basically here is a TLDR chart for the BOS14. It is a very, very powerful assault rifle. It's very well-rounded and really has no downsides, especially compared to other rifles in the game. So the question comes back once again, is the BOS14 overpowered? I would say it's right there on the line of balance, possibly overpowered. You can make an argument, honestly, to say this is the best full-auto assault rifle in the entire game. It's hard to say a weapon is overpowered in a game where the M16 exists, because the M16 is ridiculously powerful in all situations, pretty much. But in terms of automatic rifles, this may be the best one in the entire game. There's really no situation where it's bad, and where it's good, it just seems to be better than other rifles, right? The AK-47 is ridiculously powerful, but in a lot of situations, this gun's pretty much just better. I mean, the AK has more damage by default. I get that. I mean, if you're utilizing the first 5 shots, the BOS14 is as good as the AK-47, but assuming you don't hit all 5 of your first shots immediately, let's say you're a little bit inaccurate or you start a gunfight where you haven't reloaded yet, it's weaker than the AK, but its fire rate is so much faster that it kind of compensates for that, right? It's like a lower damage, higher fire rate rifle that really doesn't have a ton of recoil, has almost like a built-in foregrip, doesn't really have a penalty for using a silencer whatsoever, and it just seems incredibly powerful to me. I can honestly see them nerfing this weapon because, just like, as I mentioned, like I was going over all these different categories, it's either first or second in like every single notable weapon category for assault rifles. It just seems to be better than so many other guns. I think if you look at the stats, and I assume a lot of you will, I think you're going to find that this is an objectively better M4 Carbine / G36C. There is nothing that either of those weapons do that this weapon just simply does not do better, with the exception of the G36C having less idle sway. I mean, aside from that, this gun just outclasses those two rifles entirely. Then you look at other guns like the MP44. The recoil on the MP44 makes it so difficult to actually utilize that it's kind of like not even in the same category as some of the other rifles, right? A lot of people consider that to be one of the weaker ones. Then you have like the G3 and the M14, which are semi-automatic, so it's kind of hard to judge those. You then have the AK-47 and the XMLAR, and this rifle just seems to be really close to them, if not slightly better. So I would say the BOS14 is probably the best full-auto assault rifle in the entire game, and it might be overpowered. It really just might be. I tried to give you guys like some good examples here in this video of me up close, me at a distance, me hip firing, just me basically using the gun in any and all situations. It just seems to work, and what's making me lean towards overpowered is I consistently, while using this weapon, even though I'm like 800 kills in at this point, I still find myself going, holy crap, I killed him? Like, I don't use the M16, right? I think we all understand the M16 is overpowered, and it's one of my favorite guns of all time, so it's like hard hard to, not use an overpowered gun even though it's one of your favorites. And so basically when the game came out, I played with the M16 a lot. I got it up to gold, and basically once I unlocked the gold camo for it, I haven't really touched it whatsoever. And so occasionally I'll pick up the M16 if I'm out of ammo or if I need to reload or whatever, right? I'll pick up an M16 and I'll start using it and think to myself, holy crap, like I'm just surprised every time I get a kill with it because it kills so quickly. It's just so lethal at all ranges. And I get that same feeling while using the BOS14 a lot. I'll start hip firing at somebody with stopping power. Basically, if you're looking for a class setup, bandolier, stopping power, steady aim with a silencer on this thing, it's absolutely incredible. It already has the tightest hip fire of any assault rifle in the game. You throw steady aim on there, it's incredible. Stopping power makes it so it's either a 2 or a 3 shot kill depending on your range. It's not affected by the silencer whatsoever. And I just run bandolier because I like having more ammo because I tend to go on long kill streaks. And so I'm running setups like that. And I'm just hip firing people, and the 2-shot kill just kind of sets in as if it's an AK-47. I'm like, holy crap, this is powerful. If I'm popping people at a distance, I get that 3-shot kill, and it's like, goodness gracious, this thing's powerful. Like, at most, it's a 3-shot kill if you're using stopping power. It's so freaking good. So I think Raven Software maybe messed up a little bit on this rifle. I think a lot of people, when the gun first came out, they were claiming it's overpowered because that's what people do. They try to get as many views as possible on the first day. But I think there actually is some validity to some of their claims. The rifle is... I'm going to say it's overpowered. I think it's a little bit too powerful. Now, I've used it a ton. I have a ton of gameplay, and I will shamelessly post that gameplay here on the channel because there's some good games I caught with this gun. But I will say it's a bit overpowered, if you ask me. And now, how do they nerf it? I don't know. That's the thing. Like, when it comes to weapon design and weapon balance, it's so hard to try and say, like, what needs to be changed specifically. Like, we could be like, reduce the fire rate because it's basically tied for the fastest fire rate in the game due to frame rounding. And for assault rifles anyway. And if you reduce that, does it suddenly become a terrible gun? Is it just like an AK-47 clone? If you reduce the damage, would that hurt it so much that it's like suddenly unusable? Like, they would need to really do some internal testing with this weapon to be able to tell whether or not it's powerful. But my big question is, just on paper, how can you look at this rifle and say, yep, that looks fair and balanced? It's number 1 or number 2 in every single category across the board. Maybe they wanted a new rifle to come out to compete with the M16 while also not changing the actual normal Call of Duty 4 balance. Maybe that's what they wanted to do, because the M16 is above and beyond the best rifle in the game in just about every situation, with the exception of maybe super up close, where maybe you just, you miss your burst or something like that and you get 2-shot by like an AK-47 or something like that. Perhaps they put this in the game as a way to try to compete with the M16 without changing the balance of the original COD for, AK-47, M4 Carbine, G36C, MP44, so on and so forth. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just showing you guys these stats and figures and going over my thoughts and feelings on the weapon as a whole. But overall, that is what I have for you guys in today's video. I would love to hear what you guys think down there in the comment section below. Be sure to check out Marvel 4's Dan Kurtzen page to check out all these stats for Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered. You guys can see this stuff for yourself and come to your own conclusions. And just once again, let me know what you guys think after either using it or playing with it or dying to it or whatever. Let me know your thoughts on it down there in the comment section below. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.